the son of formerly enslaved people, writer Paul Laurence Dunbar gave voice to the African American experience. To mark the 150th anniversary of his birth in 2022, the Dunbar 150 Project was created.
I'm very passionate about working in the community, and also I love history. And so the role as project manager for the Paul Laurence Dunbar 150 ended up being something that fit me very well. It gave me the opportunity to really interact with the community and connect the community with history, the history of Dayton, through the legendary Paul Laurence Dunbar. The Dunbar 150 is a community approach to celebrating Paul Laurence Dunbar and his life. Special commemorations began actually in 2020, and it also continues until February of 2023. So it's been an incredible multi-year celebration of people coming together, and several projects have been created, and there have been shows and performances and lectures, so many things that have come out of this that have brought people together from all over the country. Also introducing people to Paul Laurence Dunbar. There are too many people in Dayton that have not heard about Paul Laurence Dunbar. So Paul Laurence Dunbar, he was a phenomenon. So Paul Laurence Dunbar was born right here in Dayton, Ohio in 1872. His parents were enslaved. They both moved here to Ohio from Kentucky. His father, Joshua Dunbar, escaping enslavement into Canada and deciding to fight in the Civil War after that. Matilda Dunbar, his mother, when she came to Dayton, she actually learned how to read. So education was something that both Matilda and Joshua Dunbar were very passionate about. When Paul Laurence Dunbar was 6 years old, he started rhyming words and started putting poetry together, and it became very evident that he was extremely talented, naturally talented in that way, and he loved books. A lot of people know him as a poet, and he definitely was a poet. He also wrote in several different forms, including short stories, novels, musicals, and songs. He was a writer that he was an artist. He was famous all around the world. He traveled to Europe and all around the United States. He took part in the World's Columbian Exposition in 1893. There he met Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass connected him to a lot of the pivotal figures in African American leaders during that time. People like Charles Young, actually now General Charles Young, who led the Buffalo Soldiers. His work was appreciated, and that's why he went all around the United States and the world sharing it.
Paul Laurence Dunbar is probably the most creative, the most productive, and the most loving writer to ever be born in America. And he was the first African American to be accepted by the discipline of American literature. Dunbar is our genius. And I don't want to see him covered in history. I feel that Dunbar should be appreciated, cherished. Paul Laurence Dunbar was exceptional. He wasn't a usual person. He was an exceptional person. And on top of all that, he had the determination to work hard at whatever he was doing.
Paul Laurence Dunbar wrote about life. He wrote about experiences, and he wrote in the voice of people. He wrote in African American dialect, and in that way, he just expressed the experiences that people were having, and that included themes of love, laughter, sadness, happiness, disappointment. He talked about issues of justice. He spoke about religion. He spoke about families. He spoke about hatred as well. He also addressed lynching, which was prominent during the day. And he spoke to empower people. Through his writings, he spoke to people who were, like him, not too far removed from slavery, who were figuring out life as freed individuals. He wrote to encourage them to utilize their gifts as he did. So the Paul Laurence Dunbar House, it's the last home that Paul Laurence Dunbar lived in, and he purchased it in 1904 for himself and his mother. He had tuberculosis for years. He needed a place to settle, and he had the means to buy a nice place for himself and his mother. It had everything that was needed and so much more. And so this property was perfect for Paul Laurence Dunbar, and something that he cherished and was able to live out a comfortable life for the rest of the time that he had. He passed away in 1906.
He was 33 at his death. That house really did meet Dunbar's hopes and dreams. The Paul Laurence Dunbar House site is the very first memorial to honor a black man in America.
The home became a historic site in 1936. The Paul Laurence Dunbar House historic site is located on the west side of Dayton, and it's not far from the Wright Dunbar Historic District. So if visitors could take away one fact or bit of information, I would like for that to be that Paul Laurence Dunbar was here. Paul Laurence Dunbar was in this community, and that Paul Laurence Dunbar was an incredible writer, but more than anything, that he used what was inside of him and shared that with other people. And that's something that people can be inspired to do when they visit.
I think people like Paul are not born every day. Gifted, brilliant, and loving, concerned for others, helpful to others. He had so many traits that I think they should not be forgotten. Dunbar should be revered forever and esteemed as one of the better writers in this world, period.